These candles represent the 4 pillars of the NHS. And when all 4 are lit, we will be ready to formally induct our newest members. Dom, please come on up and introduce our first speaker.
Senior Austin McCarthy is a member of our varsity football team, a captain of our wrestling team, a peer minister, and senior class president. As one of his teachers said, Austin always puts his best foot forward, and he's an exemplar of Catholic Memorial Night. Austin, welcome to the stage.
Many people believe that a typical leader is a person of higher status or power than others. A person that is not like others. A person that does not need to understand others because a leader will be followed for their word regardless of their compassion. Although some poor leaders in history may fit this description, a true exemplar of the pillar of leadership does not. In my experience, leadership is the act of understanding people and using that understanding to guide them towards success. I believe a good leader is a man of the people. Leaders should be relatable and able to communicate with their peers. A good leader will identify the strengths and weaknesses of those they are leading and use this knowledge to help them overcome obstacles. And, importantly, leadership comes in all different forms. A leader can be the President of the United States, figuring out what the majority of the people in their country want and need. But a leader can also be an NHS tutor, trying to figure out what the freshman they are working with needs to prioritize to pass tomorrow's math test. I can confirm from experience that leading big groups and small groups requires the same set of values. One of my favorite leadership experiences dates back to my sophomore year. I was the lone captain of what I am sure is one of the smallest varsity sports teams in CM history, the 2020 through 2021 wrestling team. Wrestling was held in the spring due to strict COVID restrictions in the winter. Many people that would have normally participated in wrestling did not, and on average, about 8 wrestlers would show up to a meet, many of whom were brand new to the sport. This was not CM's year to win, since so many weight classes were being forfeited. Some dual meets were statistically impossible to win from the start. I knew what was best for my teammates and the program was to have a fun year where people worked on getting better without the pressure of needing to win for their team. So I did everything I could to express this to my teammates. Before and after practice, I would have fun conversations with my teammates and get them very excited to win their matches. Every time I heard a teammate say, "We aren't going to win any meets this year," or "There's no way we can beat the other Catholic Conference teams," I would remind them that their own match was all that should matter to them that season. I had the same mindset as Coach Good, who ended up naming me captain in the team huddle at Xaverian just minutes before our first meet of the season. After a very enjoyable season, many of my teammates grew to be stars of the team. This year, the now strengthened CM wrestling program had a nearly full lineup and beat multiple Catholic Conference teams. I hope that some of this success can be attributed to my leadership and empathy for others' needs when the program was struggling. Leadership doesn't always involve a team or even a large group. Throughout high school, I have individually tutored my sister, Hannah, and my cousin, Michael. Since I worked with each of them many times, I know their strengths and weaknesses very well and can help them master content very quickly. Since joining the National Honor Society last year, I have been tutoring many different CM students, which is more challenging for me. I often end up working with underclassmen that I have never met before. I must always identify that not all methods of teaching work for every student, and quickly identify what type of explanation they need from me in order to finish their homework. For example, I was able to help one particular student get A's on some math quizzes in the spring of my junior year by encouraging him to put most of his focus into the topics he struggled with. This student liked to show off the skills that he had mastered to me, but I always made sure that we spent a lot more time on what I could see him struggling with. I do not believe that I would have been an effective tutor to this student or any of the others without identifying their weaknesses and working to overcome them, similar to the way I approach every other leadership situation. I consider myself lucky to have experienced a more rare type of leadership as well, which is leading a large group of people. I have served as the president of the class of 2023 for the past 2 years. I won both of my elections by talking to each individual student and asking what they would want out of a president, followed by campaign vows to pursue the goals that were most important to my class at large. While in office, I have followed through on my vows and worked to pursue goals. Though I was unfortunately unsuccessful in eliminating the school dress code, I have been more successful in making seniors feel rewarded for the hard work they've done at this school. I was able to create a social media page to celebrate the college decisions of seniors. I have been able to post the decisions of about 30 students so far, and my goal is to eventually do so for the entire senior class. Everything I've done as class president, including being elected, has come from talking to those I am leading and working to fulfill their needs. All of my success in leadership has come from understanding and fulfilling the needs of those around me. I have used the same leadership philosophy to bring groups of all sizes to success. Good leadership from my parents, teachers, and other mentors has brought me to be the leader I am today. And I hope that my leadership can help grow others into even better leaders. Thank you.
Senior Aiden Dever is a peer minister, model UN member, and varsity lacrosse player. As one faculty member said, Aiden has been a consistent leader at our retreats since he is great at forming relationships with younger students, and he always demonstrates care for his CM brothers. Aiden, welcome to the stage.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Aiden Dever, and I'm a senior here at CM. And I'm here to talk to you all about service, the second pillar of the National Honor Society. Service to almost all of us here has been a recurring theme in our time here at Catholic Memorial. The phrase, "we are men of character built for others," is a central element of service, a way of being both compassionate and fruitful in assisting others. And although sometimes spending hours at a food bank or homeless shelter may be exhausting, we must strive to be true servants in our communities rather than people just checking off a requirement box for service. Service is to be done selflessly for others, especially for those in communities who are less fortunate than ourselves and who suffer. To me, CM is a model for how any institution should lead in acting out service. It serves us as students as it educates us based on example of Blessed Edmund Rice. It serves the less fortunate around the world on the numerous bursary trips it hosts. It serves the poor in our community by volunteering at various local service centers like Rose's Bounty. Catholic Memorial finally provides the opportunity for seniors to immerse themselves in a specific nonprofit organization during their senior service project. After participating in many different senior service activities throughout my time at CM, from Hungerfest, our annual toy drive, and volunteering at NHS's own blood drive, I am now completing my senior service project with many other of my CM brothers at A Shot for Life. ASFL was founded by CM alum Mike Slonia in an effort to raise money for cancer research at Massachusetts General Hospital by running sports fundraising events. I have a personal connection to this great cause as I have lost 3 of my grandparents to cancer, and I understand the destruction and loss that this disease causes for so many people every year. Having the opportunity to work with an organization to help raise hundreds of thousands of dollars to help find a cure for this tragic disease brings great joy as I fulfill my time here at CM. I truly felt the impact that the service was having that I was doing with ASFL was when Mike sent out a text to the group chat last month saying how a video of Massachusetts General Hospital showed small cells called CAR T cells ganging up together and killing big cancer cells in mice. Those CAR T cells were directly funded by the money raised at ASFL that I helped raise along with my CM brothers, Mike, and so many of the ASFL athletes that take their time into ASFL and help raise that money. I hope that my experiences and story of how I have served as a model of service in the CM community inspires many others to act selflessly and to serve those who need it, and to always remember to live Jesus in our hearts forever. Thank you.
Junior Matthew Tobin is a peer minister, a member of the tennis team, and the junior class president. When asked about Matt, one faculty member raved, "Matt has embraced the role of being a student leader and has embraced it in a way that's incredibly mature." Matt, welcome to the stage.
Good morning, boys, faculty, parents, and families. My name is Matthew Tobin, and I am a junior here at Catholic Memorial, and it is truly an honor to be up here standing today for this special occasion. When asked to speak about character, the first thought that came to my mind was my introduction to the Catholic Memorial community. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to my 7th grade self. As a kid from West Roxbury, I had dreamed of my first day at CM for years. After many trips to watch the football team on Thanksgiving, or a baseball game on a warm spring day, it was finally my turn to become a knight. I first walked through the doors of Donahue Hall with 5 kids from Holy Name, my former school, but I was excited to meet many more from different places. However, the excitement of the new opportunity came with the responsibility of getting good grades and keeping a good attitude that people would respect. Early on, I found myself slipping with grades, and Mrs. Concannon decided that it was best for me to go to homework club a few days a week until I got more acclimated with CM. While at homework club, I met a few juniors and seniors who were sent over by the National Honor Society to help my peers and I in the middle school. All of these guys were so helpful to me, but none more than Matt Freitas. Some of you may remember Matt and have had similar experiences with him. In his life, Matt has faced many challenges due to an accident when he was younger, which resulted in a prosthetic leg. However, it did not seem to stop him because he was a 2-sport athlete, the president of his class, and he is currently a college athlete. He came right over and helped me. As well as getting my homework done, I would sit there and talk with Matt, and he became a friend to me and someone that I could look up to. He did not have to become this role model for me. He could have just got his tutoring requirement done, but instead he saw someone who needed a role model, and he became that guy for me. Matt helped me out of my shell as a small 7th grader, and he is someone that I want to model myself after as an upperclassman. He taught me it is okay to be nervous, and there are always resources at CM to help me if I am ever down. But most importantly, he taught me what it means to be a man of character. He graduated from CM after my 7th grade year, but if I see him these days at football games, I still talk to him and have great conversations. I thank him for being someone I still look up to and hope in 4 years when someone else has the privilege to give this talk, they have someone from our NHS class they can look up to as someone who helped them as a middle schooler. We can all be men of character. Character is imprinted on us as we walk the halls of this school. It is how you act when nobody is looking. You do not display character for other people to see, but you make the right choice for yourself. At Catholic Memorial, I do not think there is a time where we show our character more than the breast cancer walk. Every year, the Sea of Red walks in solidarity with women and men who suffer from this awful disease. It is something that other people may not think an all-boys school would participate in, but with at least 300 boys, yearly we have one of the largest groups of any that makes their way to the Esplanade along the Charles River. I am proud that in my 5 years at CM, I have gone every single time. Seeing our group all together on a Saturday morning is an incredibly special experience that I will never forget after my time at CM. We come together, we raise money, and are with each other in solidarity against a disease that has affected pretty much all of us in this room. Character is something especially important to me, and I hope I can live my life by its principles. Your actions towards someone else will stick, and they will remember it for a very long time. Kindness is something that I hope I can practice and do unto other people. If people are struggling, I want to be the person who goes over and picks them up. I want to be the person who sees someone having difficulty and offers my help. I know none of us are perfect and can do this every single time, but keep your eyes open more and notice when someone needs you. Your time at CM will fly by, and someday you will regret not helping someone in need, and you could have been put in a situation where you proved you had character. Thank you.
Junior Michael Clinton is a peer minister, a member of the drama club, forensics, a model UN enthusiast, a member of the choir, and vice president of the esports club. As one of his teachers wrote, Michael is dedicated, kind, and curious, the kind of student who not only wants to get the right answer, but wants to know why the answer was right. Michael, welcome to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. I am here today to speak about scholarship, one of the 4 pillars of the National Honor Society. Scholarship is the idea of pursuing academic excellence at all times, though I feel that this phrase can often have its meaning taken for granted. So, let us briefly take apart the words. Academic, while it literally means something pertaining to education or studying, hosts a broader meaning that is something more along the lines of self-improvement. The idea of academics and studying is to improve yourself and prepare for the future. Meanwhile, the term excellence is often mistaken for perfection. Excellence here, though, is subjective, meaning it varies from person to person. Pursuing academic excellence does not mean having perfect grades or being the smartest person in your class. Rather, it means doing your very best to improve yourself through studying and education. This is what scholarship is defined by. Allow me to express the importance of scholarship through a past experience of mine. 2 years ago, when I was in 9th grade, there came a point in my academic career where I was falling behind in school. I was questioning the purpose of learning so many things that I thought I would never use again. There were various projects where I was not giving my all, and I even missed a few assignments. Frankly, I got lazy. After a while, I began to notice that my laziness was not only restricted to schoolwork. I felt that I was doing less, not speaking to my friends as much, and becoming very pessimistic about many unrelated things. I was hindering my own ability to improve as a person. One day, however, while I was mulling over a poor project grade that I thought would practically determine the semester's grade, something clicked. I realized that I had much more potential than I gave myself credit for, and knew that I could be better. Once I had realized this, I determined to pick back up on whatever I could, and decided that, for the rest of the year, I would give everything I had to school. It was rigorous work, but I knew that I could do more than what I had been doing previously. Besides, if I wanted to improve going forward, I knew that I had to focus on what was in front of me first. By the end of that term, my efforts were already visibly beginning to pay off. My grades had risen back to standard, but that is not the only thing that I noticed. The issues that I found myself struggling with before all began to dissipate. I became much more active, found new friends, and I was taking advantage of every opportunity to come my way. The point is, it wasn't magically getting smarter overnight that dragged my academic career back onto track. It was a fierce will to improve myself as a human being that made the real difference. Scholarship is not a gift, and neither is it something that can be obtained solely through good grades or test scores. Rather, it is something to aim for and a goal to be set. I encourage you all to try your hardest in all endeavors, especially in school. Not being the smartest person in the room or not getting the highest score on the last test, these are all things that used to discourage me. But I have noticed a strong improvement in the past 2 years when I began to focus on improving myself rather than comparing myself to others. You shouldn't consider a score to be good if you think it's above a certain generalized number. Instead, think of a score as good if it is higher than what you've been getting previously. I used to run into this problem very often, comparing myself to others too often and setting ridiculous standards. And I still do. I still forget myself sometimes and get lazy. I still make mistakes, and I don't always give my all. The important thing is that I try to do my best, which is something we should all strive to do. Therefore, scholarship is not a method. It is a result. In the same way that amazing grades and test scores are proof of your academic achievement, but not the achievement itself, scholarship is the result of your hard work while never giving up and the mindset you maintain throughout it all. In conclusion, you pursue scholarship through a strong desire to improve, and self-improvement is one of the ultimate goals in each of our lives. Thank you.
The National Honor Society's symbol is a torch, which represents the eternal light of truth. At this time, all National Honor Society members light a candle, passing the flame from one member to another. In doing so, the members symbolically showed their own commitment to the pillars of the National Honor Society and their commitment to supporting each other in their search for the eternal light of truth. I will ask NHS Vice President Sam and NHS Secretary Mickey Doyle to please begin the candle lighting. Yes. New and returning members of the NHS, please recite with me the NHS pledge, which is also displayed on the board for all to see. I pledge myself always to seek the light of truth, to hold scholarly habits, to engage in worthy service, and to lead forward in all things that shall advance the goals of Catholic Memorial. Congratulations. Members, you may now blow out your candles and everyone may be seated.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Sam Cahill Farella, and I'm the Vice President of the National Honor Society here at CM. It is with great pleasure that I ask the following juniors and seniors to come forward to receive their certificate as a symbol of their commitment to the ideals of the NHS. Now, would Principal O'Brien and Ms. Corsano please step forward to help with the distribution of certificates. Students and parents, please withhold your applause until all of the students have received recognition. Then, collectively, we will applaud all of our new members. Our new senior members, Austin Kelly, John Petrangelo, John Muldoon, Connor Gracie, James Grady, Christopher Sullivan, just a reminder, we're going to hold our applause until the end. Our new junior members, Patrick Blomberg, Christopher Bensel, Zachary Brown, Cole Bolger, Adrian Casso, Michael Clinton, Augustus Collin, Trevor Dolson, Trevor Doyle, Timothy Elrod, Mario Evangeli, Daniel Gaffney, Owen Galvin, Samuel Gonser, Mather Graham, Jake Harkins, Brandon Hashi, Ryan Higgins, Isaiah Johnfin, Brendan Jolly, Daniel Keefe, Aiden Kelly, Seamus Kelly, Christopher Kennedy, Alexander Krukov, Jan Katecki, Gerby Lambert, Alexander Landry, Connor Lawler, Corey Lawler, James Lenahan, Colton Manarek, Matthew McKenna, Brendan McKinney, Owen McGurran, Drew Motto, Brett Mulligan, Drew O'Connor, Rick Orup, Alexander Pappas, Adam Parker, Samson Person, James Sansone, Thomas Shuley, Declan Smith, Matthew St. Martin, Brandon Sullivan, Matthew Tobin, and Owen Rochford. Can we now please give them a big round of applause?
Good morning, boys. As Secretary of the National Honor Society, it is my pleasure to recognize the returning senior members of the NHS for their work in the organization over the past year and a half. When I call your name, please stand at your seat. Would the audience please refrain from clapping until all names are called? Daniel Alvarez, Colin Bly, Victor Boldeskull, Finnegan Burke, Samuel Cahill Farella, Giovanni Cardarelli, Michael Collins, Aaron Crowley, William Cummings, Joseph Cutting, Aiden Dever, Michael Doyle, Kieran Flanagan, Aiden Floyd, Wyatt Fromm, Brady Gaspa, Brady Gaffey, John Garvey, Declan Gilmartin, Liam Lawn, Christopher Lustig, Brendan McNeil, Andrew Mack, William Masfer, Austin McCarthy, Brady McGowan, James McGrath, Kevin McGrath, Kieran McGurn, Timothy McNeil, William Morrison, Aiden Murphy, Christopher Nelson, John Dominic Olahan, Kean Parkinson, Jaden Patel, Jaden Peen, Michael Riley, Logan Roberts, Michael Rucky, Michael Schwert, Dean Simmons, Rylan Sparrow.
Each year at the induction ceremony, the National Honor Society asks one distinguished faculty member to speak about what excellence means to them. This year, the NHS is very excited to welcome Mr. P.J. Rufo. Mr. Rufo received his Bachelor of Arts degree studying English and philosophy with a minor in Chinese in 2014 from Boston College, and earned his Master's in Education with a focus on English in 2016, also from Boston College. Mr. Rufo began his career at Catholic Memorial in 2017 teaching Chinese and history, and now teaches theology and English, at some point teaching every grade level CM has to offer from 7th grade through senior. Having had the privilege of taking his Chinese 3 class last year, I can say from personal experience that Mr. Rufo is a tremendous asset to the CM community, both as an educator and as a role model for his students. His kindness, generosity, and good sense of humor know no bounds, and his presence at CM is a shining example of the men of character this school strives to create. Without further ado, it is my honor to invite this year's guest speaker, Mr. P.J. Rufo, to the stands.
Morning, everyone. We can do better than that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. There it is. First and foremost, congratulations to all our new NHS inductees. This is a well-earned honor, one that you and your family should be very proud of. So go ahead, let's have one more round of applause. When Mrs. Corsano informed me that I'd been selected as your speaker for the day, I went through the full range of emotions. First, I was deeply honored and humbled that you guys chose to hear from me as the authority of what it means to be excellent. I started thinking of some nuggets of classic Rufo rules of living I could drop, like always dress for the occasion. Check. Never eat fast food seafood. Always wake up an hour and a half before you have to do anything. Or never, ever, 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 ever bank on a snow day. These are principles that I am proud to stand by, but would the world stop spinning if I went to McDonald's and ordered a fillet of fish? Is that really what excellence is all about? And then I started thinking about the faculty speakers that have preceded me and the wise words that they had to offer. In the past year alone, we've heard from Dr. Rice, a full-fledged medical doctor, and Mr. Catano, a living legend. That's when the dread hit. what qualifies me to give this speech, and why was I chosen over some of my more accomplished colleagues? Our trainer, Mr. Saluk, was just named Massachusetts Athletic Trainer of the Year. Brother Cavett continues to dominate the speech circuit and probably learned another language since I started talking. And my good friend, Mr. Bradford O'Brien, can throw a frisbee as far as the eye can see. As he also continues to further his own education while educating through pursuing his master's degree. Even though I wear... Even though I wear many hats and have done many things here at CM, compared to these monumental feats, my own accomplishments feel rather small and fleeting. As Sam mentioned in that touching tribute, I have taught every grade across a variety of subjects, but does that really count until I teach an art, math, or science class? I used to be the Harry Potter trivia champion of the school, but my 4-year reign of terror came to an end last winter at the hands of Mrs. Corsano. I used to be a shoo-in to run in the Olympic Day relay race, but after my tragically public hamstring pull led to the faculty's first ever documented win happening without me, I feel like those days are over. Out of all this, we can observe the following. Excellence is not something you are born with, nor is excellence a constant state of being. Excellence is something that you work for, something that you achieve, but also something that you can lose. While I strive to be an excellent teacher and coach, that is not an easy task. It takes hard work. You see, excellence, in whatever form it takes for you, is not a given. It must be earned and maintained. So while this is a happy, celebratory occasion, and you inductees deserve all the praise you're receiving, let this speech serve as a reminder not to rest on your laurels. Continue to pursue excellence in every endeavor, and that's a goal not just for those in NHS, but for every person in this room. While we've heard from our speakers about the 4 pillars today, allow me to tell you a couple stories about high school me and the 2 crucial qualities that have helped me pursue excellence along my way: commitment and humility. These stories offer a set of qualities that help support those tent poles of scholarship, leadership, character, and service. Secondary pillars, if you would. Admittedly, these are a bit on the basic side, but trust me, following these secondary pillars of commitment and humility go a long way in reaching your goals. First up, commitment. On the surface, commitment seems pretty straightforward. You say you're going to do something, and you do it, right? But what if the situation is different than what you signed up for, or if it's way harder than you expected? Do you still follow through? To help illustrate my point, let me tell you about Mr. Kirby. Mr. Kirby was my track coach in high school and an English teacher. He also might have been a certified maniac or a genius, still not sure. A teacher at my school for 25 plus years, Mr. Kirby had long flowing gray hair, a grizzled face, and glasses so crooked he might as well have worn them vertically instead of horizontally. He always appeared as if he had gotten dressed in the dark, all of his clothes constantly mismatched, shirts, ties, socks, and every so often, even shoes. That is when he was even wearing them. As a track coach, he made sure to check in on all the different groups as they were going out about their practice, quite literally sprinting from end to end of the track to do so. Naturally, barefoot, rain or shine. As a teacher, he was a bit eccentric, as English teachers tend to be, but did he love the English language? To the students out there who can't stand Membean, guys like Mr. Kirby are the reason you want to use it. We had a regularly used study hall called the Howe Study Hall that was good, not great, roomy, but not cozy, or to use your word for it, mid. Mr. Kirby proudly referred to it as the plush but not overly ostentatious Howe Study Hall facility. Ah, language, how beautiful. So if anyone ever ponders as to why I occasionally tend to escalate my verbosity even in mundane moments, you have Mr. Kirby to blame. But for all his linguistic prowess, Mr. Kirby was also technologically challenged to the extreme. You see, Mr. Kirby was a fervent believer that there were not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different internets, and that communication between them was impossible. The 4 different internets were the internet, the interweb, the interlink, and the Ethernet. Legend had it that students in a pinch could have emailed him an assignment, and upon nothing being there, one could simply say they sent it in on one of the different internets. More often than not, This would result in a B for anyone so bold to attempt a strategy. Needless to say, I needed him as a teacher, like had to have him. Surely it would have been an easy A, or at the very least, extremely entertaining. Going into my junior year when we could start taking electives, we were given a preference sheet to write our top 3 options for what English class we wanted to take. I signed up for the Hero in Literature with Mr. Kirby 3 times, ensuring I got him as a teacher, or at least in my mind. Naturally, I struck out. Instead, I was assigned to take the Hero in Literature, but with Mr. Greer. Now, Mr. Greer's rep was slightly different than Mr. Kirby's. He was a good guy, but you had to earn every single point. He was fair, but tough, and none of the nonsense that was going on with Mr. Kirby seemed to fly with Mr. Greer. Junior year of high school, Mr. Rufo was devastated. I wanted out and looked into switching into literally any other class. But having put all my eggs in the Hero and Literature basket, I had to suck it up and, believe it or not, try. And you know what? It's one of the best things that ever happened to me. Mr. Greer pushed and pushed, and this forced me to genuinely grapple with the material we were reading. It was a tough class, but not as bad as everyone made it out to be. A lot of that had to do with positivity. Sure, I could have complained until the cows came home, but what good would that have done me? Rather, I chose to make the best out of a bad situation. Upon reflection, this was one of the most important academic experiences of my career and played an enormous role in my choice to enter education myself years later. For those of you lucky enough to meet Mr. Greer covering one of your classes, be sure to pick his brain as he's one of the best teachers I've ever had. Even if things don't go the way you envisioned, honor your commitments, as these kind of situations have a funny way of working themselves out. Next up, humility. Also seems pretty straightforward. Act like you've been there before, be appreciative of your opportunities, don't talk back, all things I'm sure your coaches, myself included, have told you before. To start off this story, I'd like to thank all of you who have felt the need to look up my high school yearbook and remind me that I, at one point in my life, claimed to go by the Brighton Bullet. As a side note, I'd also like to thank whoever decided it was a good idea to upload that entire yearbook for the world and my students to see. Thanks a lot. Regardless, the first time a CM student brought that up to me, I honestly had completely forgotten that that was even a thing. The reason why? In my entire legendary high school football career and athletic career, only one guy ever called me that, the JV offensive coordinator, and that was mostly as a joke. To be completely honest, my varsity football career never amounted to much. While I did technically claim a starting wide receiver role, we ran an offense straight out of the 1940s, pretty much alternating between power I runs, sweeps, and we once even punted on 3rd down on the opponent's 40 because it would catch them off guard. It didn't. With my football career really only amounting to being a practice hero, my place was on the track. With my natural speed, I was easily chosen to run either the 100, the 200, the 4x1, or the long jump at every major meet we had both my sophomore and junior years. Going into senior year, I was a captain in all but name, leading the sprinters in their practices and making sure all my teammates were ready to go for meets. But I got complacent. By that point, I stopped working as hard as I could have and stopped pushing myself to be better. By the time we got to the end of the season, I thought I would be a shoo-in to run the 100, the 4x1, and the long jump at the all-league meet and got a little full of myself. Instead, I got beat out of my 100 and long jump spots by a freshman. Tip of my cap, he wanted it more and earned those spots, beating me clean in both events. But instead of giving myself a shot at being triple all-league, I had to watch as someone else ran and jumped for me. We still won that 4x1 and the meet, but that second to last meet of my track career will always serve as a what could have been for me. I had a lot going on that senior year, AP classes, getting into my dream school after being deferred from early admission and then waitlisted, but that's no excuse for failing to rise to my potential. I was sidelined and lost any kind of bragging rights. But that taste of humble pie is exactly what I needed. I'd slipped up and had to acknowledge that there was someone better than me. And guess what? The world kept on spinning. It became my job as a leader to root my team on and not pout that someone better had come along because I lost that right by being lazy. Never forget that even when you feel like you're untouchable and on top of the world, someone is always going to try to outwork you and take that spot. If that does happen, don't pout, but be the best teammate that you can be. These are lessons that I learned in high school that I still carry with me. But these are situations that I would absolutely not trade in. Sure, it would have been nice to have taken the easier class with Mr. Kirby or have won the ISL 100-meter dash, but how would that have changed the person I am today? I don't love the idea of thinking of myself as excellent, but you guys chose me to give this speech despite the fact that I'm horrified of public speaking, so I must be doing something right. I know that I'm someone that always puts his best foot forward and tries to make the best out of any given situation, and that's something everyone can strive for. Every single person in this room, athlete, scholar, teacher, parent, student, infant, can strive for. We can all strive for that. If that's what we describe excellence as, I truly believe commitment and humility go a long way in setting you up for success. Gentlemen, congratulations again. I wish you all nothing but excellence moving forward. All of your futures are bright, and I can't wait to see what you do with them. And now, closing as always, and I've always wanted to say this, we pray, live Jesus in our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rufo. We are ready to conclude this year's NHS Induction Ceremony. Congratulations once more to our newest members. Thank you again to the parents and family members being here today for the celebration, and thank you to the rest of the CM community for your attention and respect during this ceremony. As a school community, it's so important we pause to recognize excellence when we see it. Whether you're a member of the NHS or not, just as Mr. Rufo reminded us, excellence is something we can all strive for. Take the extra 5 minutes to proofread your homework. Offer to do the dishes after a parent makes you dinner. Hold the door for the person behind you. As we leave today, I hope you strive for excellence in all things, big and small. In just a moment, the National Honor Society members will recess out, and Mr. Danso will dismiss the rest of the student body. Parents and family members, after the rest of the student body returns to class, the NHS members will return to the gym to be available for pictures. With this, I ask, live Jesus in our hearts forever.